Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, YouTube. It's your Slime Kid the Gym, and welcome to another YouTube video. I've been doing a lot of streaming on YouTube lately, and zero videos. And that's with reason. Because, honestly, I look at the landscape of Honkai Star Rail and Genshin Impact. It's all just the goddamn same. I'm honestly just tired of talking about the same things over and over again. And I have no compulsion to talk about things. But in today's video, where I'm, as you're seeing on the screen right now, where I'm showcasing a Xueyi team, one cycling Cocolia with no 5-star LCs, no 5-star Eidolons, I just came to a realization that I feel like nobody's really talking about that much. Maybe they talked about it at the start of the game. I wasn't really paying attention to content creation at the time, nor am I paying attention to it now. But it just feels like whenever I see these YouTube videos, whenever I search for MOC clears, especially Xueyi's zero cycles, even Kafka's zero cycles, or Black Swan's zero cycles, all I see are either all E0 S1 units, or some occasional E1 S0, or a combination of E1 S0s, E1 S1s, or E0 S1s. Well, that's great and all. That's good, you know? For a zero cycle clear, that's great. But like, I know that's like the baseline for a zero cycle clear. But I think what people need to understand is that just take a look at a team composed of E0 S1s. That's 2 pities across 2 banners. Well, let's say you have 3 to 4 units of that. That's 8 pities. As a free-to-play, as a Welkin, or an Express Pass, or a Battle Pass buyer, with the amount of pulls that you do get, you think you have enough for E0 S1s? Right? Especially if it's a back-to-back banner. Now, if you've been planning your polls accordingly, that can happen. But like, if you don't plan your polls, you don't poll strictly for meta, and you poll for waifu, for husbando, you're not realistically going to get E0 S1s. And I get it. That's the allure of a zero cycle clear. It's because you can't do it, right? The average casual player does not have the capability of doing it. That's why it's so nice to watch. But I feel like people don't actually try to clear in as little cycles as possible with what they have, because they think that they need to have the standard baseline of E0 S1s before they clear a zero cycle attempt, right? But the thing is, I've been trying to zero cycle stuff with E0 S0s, right? No Eidolons, no 5-star LCs. In fact, the strongest LC I have is probably 4-star S5 dance, right? But the more I used a Xueyi team that has consistently 1 to 2 cycled the side that I use her with in the past 3 MOCs, as I've done that, I've realized that these zero cycle clears aren't really as impressive as you think it is. Because at the end of the day, there's really not much difference in a 1 cycle clear and a 0 cycle clear. I would argue that a 1 cycle to 2 cycle clear is much more fun, much more engaging than a 0 cycle clear. Because if you're watching a 0 cycle clear, you know that it's either they have so much damage or their LCs just give so much utility that it allows them to finish waves where you normally couldn't. But if you're watching somebody like this run, for example, that has E0 S0s, you know exactly what's happening here. And you can replicate that if you tried, right? I mean, this is a Xueyi 1 cycle run where I just obliterate the T-Rexes, where I just obliterate Cocolia. And the thing is, right, to highlight the point, people don't understand how strong a 5-star LC is. Eidolons, to a certain degree, they are really strong, right? Ruan Maze, Eidolons, Sparkles, Eidolons, they're really strong. But the LCs, especially some Harmony LCs, are really good, right? We'll talk about that and contrast that to some support LCs that aren't exactly as good for zero cycling but are good for autoing, right? So it depends on your goals. It depends if you know try hard. But I feel like if you're slightly into turn-based games, you would. But of course, majority of the people in this space, in this gacha space, are casuals. So like they're not exactly going to be like, oh, I want to freaking think. You know, not a humble brag or whatever. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring. I've been streaming it on YouTube. Hey, you should go watch me. I know I haven't been streaming for a week, but like you should watch me. Okay? I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring lately instead of gacha games. And I've realized, because I've always thought that I was a casual gamer, a below average casual gamer. But turns out that was just the gotcha brain rot sinking in. And turns out that probably 90% of the people playing Honkai Star Rail, 90% of the people playing Genshin Impact are worse than me. They're trash players compared to me. Why? Because I have collectively around 10 to 15 years of esports experience. I'm just kidding. I don't have esports experience. But I have been mired and raised in the toxicity of the Southeast Asian Dota scene. And I just realized that if I put my competitive nature into it, I'm actually better than literally 75% of the player base of gacha games. So it's either people just don't want to think, they've never thought about it before, or a combination of both, that they can't clear fast enough. That's what I've realized. That's why people love guides. It's because people in gacha spaces don't even think. They just want to be force-fed the information. I mean, come on, man. We're playing a goddamn gambling game. Of course, people are just going to not think. They're just going to either swipe, pull the next broken meta character, and call it a day. You know, there's a reason why there's so many varying opinions on MOC, because it could either be a day one player who swiped every single banner. You can auto-8 sweep. Could be somebody who's literally starting yesterday or started yesterday. Barely clears MOC 7. That's the thing. That's what we're trying to like understand within ourselves, that like our experiences are totally different, right? But like, despite that fact, we take our own beliefs and then call it as fact or as truth. Or objectively speaking, that's not how it truly works. We can relate this to the E0 S1s as baselines. I think people don't understand that the S1s bring so much utility. The perfect example is during this run, right? When I was using E0 S0 Ruan Mei and E0 S0 Bronya. Now, Ruan Mei is a very strong unit at E0. At E1, she becomes absolutely busted. At E1 S1, she becomes the best zero cycling unit in the game. Now ignore E1. E0 S1, she is still the best zero cycling unit in the game. What does S1 do? Okay, not only does it give 24% damage, it also gives 1 skill point. 1 skill point. That matters so much. And in support of that, Bronya's LC also gives 1 skill point. Not only do you deal more damage, but it also gives 1 skill point. Now, those things don't show up in the damage statistic sheet or whatever, right? But if you look at my run, let's just go backwards, right? After I finish the first wave, 0 cycle, I have 0 skill points left. I have 0. And that means that my whole rotation is screwed. I would need to wait until the very tail end of that cycle for me to use a Bronya skill or whatever, because I have 0 skill points. Now, if I had 2 extra skill points when I enter that wave, my Tingyun would attack, my Bronya would attack, and I would have 4 extra skill points. My Ruan Mei would use her skill. My Xueyi would use her skill. And I would still have 2 extra skill points, which means my Bronya could skill. Xueyi could skill. That's a skill into burst, breaking Cocolia, delaying her actions until the end of the turn, which means more damage instances for me and a higher chance of zero cycling. Whereas if I did not have the LCs of Bronya and Ruan Mei, there was literally no chance. And that's the difference. That is the game-breaking difference of those LCs. That, like, if you look at it on paper, it feels good. But, like, in practice, it's so much better than you think it is, that it enables a totally different type of play style as if you don't have them comparatively. And that's the difference. The LCs are really good. Sparkle's LC is really good, gives you a lot of crit rate in conjunction with all of her buffs. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. Honkai Star Rail's LCs are really broken, especially if you get the right ones. And then the fact that DPS light cones just give you so much damage that it just allows you to brain dead stuff, to zero cycle things purely because you can just brute force them, right? And in comparison, again, to Fushan's LC, to round it all out, Fushan's LC gives her ER and heals at the start of a turn, right? This one is bad, for all intents and purposes. Now, I thought it was good when I first pulled it because I have it, but the only reason I pulled it was because I was an MOC auto Andy at the time, which means I just wanted to pull it for I can just auto things because I just didn't enjoy like one cycle and zero cycle or trying to get as fast as possible. I had no character that I wanted to enjoy with. Now I have Xueyi, who's very enjoyable to try to get as fast as possible clears with. But Fushan's LC, if you compare to Ruan Mei's LC or Bronya's LC, which is a standard LC by the way, pales in comparison in terms of utility to zero cycle clears. And that's like the disparity between those things. So like, not only are Eidolons, of course, not made equally, but also LCs. But like, so much so that Ruan Mei's LC is so good in zero cycling that if you don't have it, you're essentially missing out on one crucial skill that could have been Ruan Mei's skill, Bronya's skill, that could have led to more, like significantly more damage than just one skill point that shows in the LC. And it's those kinds of things that might seem deceptive. But like if you have an E1 S1 Ruan Mei and you say to me you zero cycle this floor, I'm not impressed because I know what it takes, right? Like I can one cycle this easy. If I had E1 S1, I wouldn't even need to think about it. I just have literally enough damage, literally enough skill points. But like micromanaging all that stuff at E0 S0, knowing that the team I'm using is easily attainable. You don't even need to have an S5 dance for this to work. I'm using an S3 Fall of an Aeon, right? You can have an S1, that's free. The only difference now is just the relics, right? And because of this, like, it's just more fun for me to watch a relatable run. But I feel like that's just, that's a talk that feels like I'm in the minority here. Because it all rounds out to what I said earlier, when there's this huge skill gap between the super casual in gacha games and the tryhard in gacha games. And if you're a casual, you kind of frown upon tryharding because, you're a casual, you just auto stuff. And it's that disparity that makes them just watch zero cycles and not appreciate other forms of quote-unquote speedrunning the game. That's, I think, the major crux of why no one's really noticing all this stuff. But like people like to consume HSR media. People like to consume whatever their content creators are bringing them. But like they don't actually like think about it. they don't actually like critically think about how this person is achieving this zero cycle. They're not deconstructing the zero cycle and thinking what's actually the bare minimum for the zero cycle. Now I know some content creators like say this is what you need to zero cycle it. I mean that's for their experience. Some people like me who can do 7 hours of MOC just for the perfect RNG can probably one cycle or two cycle Sam when some people just give up. Like I two cycled Sam with Xueyi. I forgot to record it. I know no vid, no did. But I two cycled Sam with Xueyi. No sustain. And I just got extremely lucky with my follow-ups. To the point that I was micromanaging my karma stacks on Xueyi. So that by the time Sam got to her broken phase, I could hit the trotter once, kill it, and proc my follow-up attack, and all 3 hits would land on Sam while he was broken. And of course, Sam takes 50% more damage while he's broken. So even at E6, S3, Fall of an Aeon, that mother freaking follow-up attack is gonna hit for enormous damage. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? It's that way of thinking. That most people, they're not gonna go that far. Most people would rather be entertained. Because like, zero cycling is suffering. Even one cycling, two cycling without the prerequisite 5-star weapons and Eidolons is suffering, right? But like, a little bit of critical thinking will lead you to believe that these zero cycle runs, they're not as impressive with the S1s. Because the S1s just give you so much. And they're not accessible to everyone. That's my own gripe. That's my only gripe about it. Because if I see a strat, I'm like, that's not possible for me. Because I literally do not have enough SP by next wave. Like, that's basically what I say. If I had that much SP next wave, I would have done it too. You know? But like, whenever I look at it, whenever I see a showcase with E2 sparkles, like zero cycling adventurine or whatever, I'm like, well, you know, that's great, you know? What do you want me to tell you? You know, you got E2 S1 Sparkle or something. Like, I think I'd rather watch an E0 Dance 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 Sparkle try with like a higher constellation DPS than an E2 Sparkle, because an E2 Sparkle is kind of broken. Same with like an E2 Ruan May or something. You know? That's the difference. That's the difference. But most people will just brush this video aside, brush the ideas that I've presented inside, because honestly, nobody really cares, right? This is just a thought that just crept up on me as I see more and more showcases, misleading showcases that say X character clears in 0 cycles against X character in MOC. And then I look at the end in their builds, and they have like an E2 Ruan May, E2 Sparkle supporting that said character that they said is an E0 S0 or a 4-star character. You know, like, I guess they're collectively called wheelchair Eidolons. But like, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Like, I know it's clickbait and stuff, but I just want you to know, whoever, like, if you've reached this part of the video, which is about to end, I just want you to know, whoever's doing those showcases with E2 Sparkles, E2 Ruan Mays, E2 S1 Bronyas, that's not impressive. If you think that's impressive, it's not. It's not. Because literally anybody can do that. And then I look at some stuff on Reddit, and then I see some E2 S1 Acherons, not even at least one cycling the half that I just one cycle. So, you know. Maybe it is impressive, honestly. Now that I think about it, you know, I just describe people in Honkai Star Rail as the creme of the creme is like 1%, and like 99% of the people are dumb as fuck. Yeah, so maybe it is impressive, because if you lack the strategic skills to try to do it, you know. I realize that, like, no one, I don't know if I'm gonna get, whatever. Most people will not watch the entirety of this video, but I realize that if you just get the main gist of this video, it just feels like I'm being salty about it. And that is true. I am being salty. Now, if you've reached this part of the video, I'm salty AF, and that's fine, honestly. I miss doing these kinds of raw, unfiltered talks, because it's stupid, okay? Like, it's literally stupid to mislabel your runs. Now, if it's a run that's labeled, yeah, high Eidolon, high LC, or with LC, that's fine, you know? I'm not gonna watch it, but that's fine. But like, if you label something as like an X character clear, when it's clearly not because of that character that you cleared, that's what gripes my gears, brother. That's what grinds my gears. But at the same time, I mean, that's what the algorithm wants. You know, we feed into that algorithm, which is why I've stopped making videos. It's because eventually, even if you do want to make the videos that you want to make, you are just going to get sucked into the algorithm because you want the views. Obviously, we're narcissistic individuals, right? We want our videos to do well. Who's a video creator, who's a content creator that doesn't want their videos to do well? And if they don't pander to the algorithm when they realize that the videos they are making don't pander to the algorithm, then they'll fucking pander to the algorithm. And I don't want to turn into that. I don't want the joy of making videos to be sullied by stupid, asinine things like that. But that's the essential root of, like, the things I want to talk about in gacha games, which is the meta, right? Which is 0 cycling, 1 cycle in HSR. And it's disappointing. I'm disappointed, but that's how it is. I just hope some people realize, you know, watching a fucking random 20-minute video, I just hope that people realize that there are some things in 0 cycle runs that make it not as impressive as you think it is. Simply because, number one, the Slime King is salty that people spend that much money just to get a 0 cycle run. And two, You have to spend money to get that zero cycle run. And if you find zero cycle runs fun, you're gonna have to spend money. Those are the two things that are like kind of looming there. But the thing is, you can also still have fun even without zero cycling. You can have fun trying to one cycle things, micromanaging everything in your power. However much RNG has cursed you. Bro, I have an E2 S1 or E2 S2 Yanqing. I've never used him. I've dealt the cards. The cards have been dealt. It's up to you to how to handle it. It's a perfect metaphor to life, you know? If you can't zero cycle in MOC and you can't zero cycle in life, then if you're willing to put in the effort, you can surely 1 to 2 cycle the MOC. You can surely 1 to 2 cycle life. But if you don't put in the effort, then you're just gonna do 7 cycles auto. You're just gonna do 7 cycles auto in life, wasting 10 years of your life in a dead-end job without any career progression. I know I just compared your mindset in the MOC to you climbing the career ladder in life. That's where we're at. That's how I feel about this. I don't know what I said this video, rambling. But these are the kind of the videos that are kind of just, you know, I have something to say. I want to say it. All right. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you stopping by. That was the outro to my stream. You can tell that I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, but this is our parting. Thank you for watching. This is our parting. Let's say it again. Farewell.